gestational caloric restriction improves redox homeostasis parameters in the prefrontal cortex of Wistar rats. My name is Reus Oliveira, and the teacher that advised me in this work is Cristiane Maté. The objective of this work was to evaluate the effects of 20% caloric restriction during pregnancy, and to determine its impacts on the redox status of the offspring's prefrontal cortex. This experiment was divided into two groups, the control group and the caloric restriction group. The control group received a standard commercial chow, while the caloric restriction group received the same commercial chow as the control group, but with a reduction of 20%. And in addition to that, the caloric restriction group received a daily micronutrient supplementation in order to equalize micronutrient consumption between both groups. The caloric restriction protocol was submitted throughout the entire course of pregnancy, and on postnatal day 0, 7, 21, and 60, male pups were euthanized and the prefrontal cortex was collected. We evaluated the total amount of oxidants through the dichlorofluorescein oxidation. We've also evaluated the activity of the enzymes superoxide dismutase, catalase, glutathione peroxidase, glutaredoxin, and thyroredoxin reductase. And we've also evaluated the contents of reduced glutathione, vitamin C, malondialdehyde, sulfhydryl, and carbonyl. Throughout the course of pregnancy, caloric-restricted pregnant dams had a lower weight gain in comparison with the control pregnant dams. At postnatal day 0, we observed an increase in the total amount of oxidants, and at postnatal day 7, it decreased. Superoxide dismutase activity was only activated at postnatal day 60. Catalase activity was increased at postnatal day 7, and at postnatal day 60, it was activated once again. Glutaredoxin activity, just like superoxide dismutase, was only activated at postnatal day 60. Thyroredoxin reductase activity was increased at postnatal day 0, and it was activated once again at postnatal day 60. Reduced glutathione content was decreased at postnatal day 0, and it increased at postnatal day 60. Vitamin C content was increased only at postnatal day 60. Malondialdehyde content was decreased at postnatal day 7, and it was capped at lower concentrations throughout the rest of the experiment. In this experiment, we observed through the levels of DCF-H oxidation an increase in the total amount of oxidants observed in the early life. And as a possible consequence of this event, it happened a hormetic adaptation of the antioxidant defenses. The phrase hormetic adaptation comes from the concepts of hormesis, which says about a duality in the effect of a certain substance. This certain substance, in this case, are the oxidant species, which at high concentrations, they are undoubtedly harmful both for rodents and for humans, whereas at low concentrations, they could promote an adaptation of those antioxidant defenses. We've also observed in this experiment a decrease in the amount of malondialdehyde, which is a lipid peroxidation marker. And this is especially important in the context of brain development due to the high fat composition of this structure. In this study, we demonstrated that a 20% caloric restriction during pregnancy allied with micronutrient supplementation had modulatory effects on the redox status of the offspring's prefrontal cortex. And this could be possibly explained by the concept of hormesis that I've mentioned earlier in the presentation, which says about an improvement in the antioxidant defenses later in life in response to the moderate oxidative stress that we observed earlier in life. Thank you for watching for my presentation.